In this video, I want to talk to you guys about how I believe that we're entering into a new era of mixed martial arts. I'm going to talk about mixed martial arts, but really I'm going to be tying this all into the UFC because that's really kind of the name brand that we associate. What do you think of like all the mainstream sports right now? I think MMA or the UFC is by far the newest mainstream sport. I'm not talking about things like pickleball. I'm talking about things that would be up there with like the MLB, NFL, things like that. When you kind of map out, I'm a big analogy guy. So like if I tie in the timeline of the UFC history, I would say really that 1993 to like early 2000s, like your caveman era, we're figuring out what the hell is going on. And then, early 2000s, maybe like 2010, 2012, something like that, I would say is, the ancient world, your ancient Rome's, things like that. Then you really fast forward like 2013 is when time really accelerates when you enter Conor McGregor. I would say that's kind of like the industrial revolution, if you will. What Conor McGregor meant to the sport, what he did for the sport, and the rapid acceleration that he brought just because of all the eyes that he got on the sport. Now with this new era, this new time that I think we're entering into, what do I mean by all this? I really think, number one, a lot of the fighters, that were considered at one point like a new wave or new era, Conor McGregor, your Dustin Poiriers, your Justin Gaethjes, John Jones, Stipe Miocic, those fighters probably have maybe a year left, like a year or two left max. Like we need to appreciate those fighters while they're here. And I also think the new wave of fighters that we're going to be seeing within the next year, the next decade really are going to be actual mixed martial artists. And I don't mean that in a way of degrading or topping down on the fighters of this current era, because I think the fighters of this current era are probably going to hold a special place in my heart. I'll probably appreciate them more than I will people in the future, just because that's kind of like if you talk to somebody about Michael Jordan versus LeBron, older guys are always going to say Michael Jordan just because that's kind of where their heart is, if you will. But I think a lot of these guys now, because we're learning about the sport, we're kind of understanding, how to practice, how to approach the sport. You're not going to be seeing guys that are going to go to boxing practice, the jiu-jitsu practice, the wrestling practice. They're going to be going to mixed martial arts practice because we're going to learn how to systematically put everything together. Everybody's just going to be well-rounded. Like I think you're going to see a lot more people like Ilia Topuria, Shavkat Rakhmonov, people like that can strike very well, grapple with you very well. It's just going to be a much more complete, much more well-rounded fighter. You're not going to be seeing specialists. And I also believe with this new era, you're not going to be seeing late bloomers. Like that's not going to be a thing that happens. You're not going to have people like Randy Couture or Daniel Cormier that can start into the sport, at late 20s, early 30s, and then go on to be champions. Like that's not going to happen. And I also believe that with this is going to come, I don't think you're going to see people that are going to have long title reigns. I just think because of how competitive the sport's going to be, how well-rounded the sport's going to be, it's just going to make it to where it's like much more, it's going to be much more volatile for title reigns. Like it's going to be such an influx of skill that it's going to take a little bit of time for things to kind of stabilize. And I think you might even start to see that right now. Like I think we're seeing the title switch hands a lot right now, and I think that's going to be a precursor for things to come. We've gone through these infancy stages. We've kind of grown up. We've kind of hit the puberty, if you will, in the sport. Now we're kind of refining, okay, we know what works. We know what doesn't work. Let's kind of continue in this direction of what works. And I think that's what you're going to start seeing. I think fighters and coaches are really going to start figuring things out. And then that's when you're just going to see the sport and fighters accelerate. I'm very excited, though, for what's to come in the sport. I do think it's going to be a much more exciting time in mixed martial artists. And I really think this is where you're going to see the UFC kind of get up there with the same playing field. I think it's already up there right now with the NBA, NFL, but I really think it's going to be one of those things where it's just a much more normalized thing that people are talking about, in the lunchroom at work or things like that. Let me know in the comment section below, though, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm bananas for thinking this? Do you guys think I may be onto something? I really think with, the way the sport's growing, I think it's kind of inevitable that this does happen, but I'm curious what other people's thoughts are. Let me know in the comment section below. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I will catch you guys later.